Hey everyone. So today we're going to have a little bit of a different presentation. We are going to have kind of a presentation discussion. So anytime I tell you to answer a question, write that question down, answer it on a Google Doc, pause this presentation, so on and so forth, and you'll submit that for your grade for the day. So, first question, what fish do you think are at the top of the food chain? Fish. So, name a fish. Maybe a shark. And write that down on your Google Doc. That's going to lead to a bit of discussion later. So we have, as you can see in this picture, a food web showing you primary producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and top predators. And that's in a cold desert biome. I don't think the desert and the ocean mix, but okay. Moving on with life. So, as you can see, we have a food pyramid for the Gulf of Alaska. You have your producers. These are your phytoplankton that we talked about last 6 weeks. Then you have your zooplankton, your herbivores. Then you have your primary carnivores. Examples of these are juvenile pollock and Pacific herring. For the Gulf of Alaska, that's nowhere local. But then local people don't make slideshows for my class. Then we have secondary carnivores. Adult pollock and salmon. We all know about salmon. Those are your secondary carnivores. They eat your primary carnivores. And then you have your apex predators. These are your peeps at the top of the food chain. They eat each other and things below them. So your harbor seal, your sea lion, your sharks, your killer whales. We'll get more into energy pyramids and things like that maybe later in the 6 weeks, maybe next 6 weeks, probably next 6 weeks. Okay, so today's objectives. We will be discussing, or you will be discussing your view on sharks and orcas. You will think critically, or aka seriously, to come up with a good answer as to which is more dangerous and provide examples to support your answer. You will hypothesize on why there have been more shark attacks recently with relative examples, and you will test your knowledge of sharks by answering an online quiz. No, you won't. I'm not going to make you do that because I'm not going to check it. So, we'll get into all this as we go through. Moving on with life. Sharks, an introduction. So, there's a shark, there's a human, and we're done with this introduction. So, what thoughts come to mind when you think about sharks? Put that on your Google Doc. Put your thoughts on the Google Doc of what you think about or what comes to mind when you think about sharks. That should be question number 2. So each year there are shark attacks in the U.S. Although attacks are infrequent, the news tends to take great interest in them. The public sees stories about the shark attacks and their victims on the nightly news and covers of magazines. How does this affect the public's idea about sharks? Question number 3, how does this affect the public's idea about sharks? So You're going to tell me about this. That should be question number 3. Although you probably don't see a lot of shark attacks in the news for Falls County because there are no sharks. If you look at national news, especially news coming out of Florida or Massachusetts, there are a few shark attacks here and there. So the great white shark is the ultimate predator, a living myth, but not a nightmare. The great white is powerful, but it is delicate. It dominates its world, but it's threatened by ours. That is a quote by David Dublet, photographer. And what does he mean by this quote? So question number 4, what does he mean by the great white shark is the ultimate predator, a living myth, but it's not a nightmare? The great white shark is powerful, but it is also delicate. It dominates its world, but it's threatened by ours. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so explain that quote to me. And if I could get my mouse to work, this would be a whole lot better, but group. Nope. Yes. Maybe? Nope. I'm trying to do too much right now. Okay. Oh. Okay, so here's what the rest of it says. Humans are more dangerous to them because we kill off their food source, destroy their habitat, and kill the sharks themselves. So that's some food to think on while you answer question number whatever I said. Okay, so next slide. What thoughts come to mind when you think about orcas? Think about where you know orcas from, famous orcas. That's your next question. What? Did we skip one? Okay, so that's not what I wanted. Okay, now we see Free Willy. Now we're going to ask the question. I'm trying to do too much right now. Oh my gosh. So which one's more dangerous? Orca or shark? That's your next question. Moving on with life. So top 3 deadliest sharks. So you have 1, 2, 3. Gonna need to see my other slideshow I've got pulled up for this. Okay, so of the existing 368 species of sharks, only 20 are dangerous to humans. Of them, 4 account for almost 60 to 70 shark attacks registered annually worldwide. Great whites are responsible for the greatest number of reported attacks on people. 2 other shark species that can be aggressive towards people are the tiger shark and the bull shark. What might be going through a shark's brain when it is about to attack? That's your next question. Part 2 to that question is it instinct, or are they really thinking about what's going on or what it's doing? So 2-part question, what might be going through a shark's brain when it is about to attack? And second part is it instinct, or are they really thinking about what they are doing? Next question. Why do you think that there have been more reported shark attacks in recent years? So if you look at this chart, in the U.S., in other countries, shark attacks have gone up. This is data from 2011, so it's really outdated. But there have been more shark attacks overall in the U.S. over the past years. Not this year, though, because of Corona. There haven't been as many shark attacks, but I remember summer of 2019, there were a lot. And the past few years, it's been very concerning because sharks have been coming into much shallower waters than where we've seen shark attacks. So that's interesting tidbit of information. So then, could these be the cause? Why? What are these? People? People are the problem, maybe? Overfishing? Overpopulation? That's your next question. Now we have shark anatomy. I think we've already covered this, so this should be really short and sweet, and we should be able to move on with life. But there are 370 species of sharks. That might be a test question. So, today's objectives, you are learning shark anatomy. That might have been the other day's objectives too. You're learning similarities and differences between sharks and orca anatomy, because that's going to help us segue into marine mammals later this 6 weeks. And you are reviewing the requirements for my project that I don't have, so no, you're not. And you are not collaborating with my team or your team to decide on responsibilities and final outcome because there is no project. Yay! We love it when Miss McCann rips off slideshows. Predator design. So we've already talked about they have a fusiform body. They have counter shading. They have teeth in rows, and they're worn or lost and continually replaced. And they have senses. Orcas. Orcas are found in all oceans of the world. They hunt as a group. Their teeth are curved slightly inward to help them capture live prey. Orcas use underwater sonar to locate prey and communicate. The orca's circulatory system allows it to transfer heat from its body or conserve heat in icy waters. A coating of blubber helps reduce heat loss and streamlines its body to conserve energy and store food. Its counter shading allows it to blend in. You can also, and we'll get into this later, tell different pods of orcas apart because their white markings are a little bit different. We'll talk about all that later though. Senses. Hearing sharks detect irregular low frequency sounds in the water and turns towards it. Sharks sense the odor of prey and follows that trail. Sight. When a shark is close enough to see that prey, it can better judge its location and decide if it's a good meal. As a shark moves closer, its lateral line helps detect the prey's movement, and it can also feel it by bumping it. And a shark often takes its initial bite to see if it's edible. So sharks are fish that have no bones, only cartilage. We've discussed this. They have 5 to 7 gill slits. They do not have an operculum. Bony fish, osteichthyes, have an operculum. Cartilaginous fish have gill slits. I think we've been over that. In front of their pectoral fins on both sides, shark tails are asymmetrical. The top lobe of the tail is always going to be larger, so they have a heterocircle caudal fin than the bottom lobe, so this creates lift. They cannot swim backwards, only forwards. And some sharks must constantly swim, otherwise they will sink to the bottom of the ocean and they will die because they are ram ventilators. That will be a question. That'll probably be a test question since I've said that enough this year. Sharks can sense vibrations in the water using a lateral system. The lateral line system is a network of neuromasts, which are fine fluid-filled vessels that run along a shark's body under the skin along the length of the shark. Many small pores open up on the skin, detecting the intensity and direction of vibrations in the water. We've been over the lateral line. Y'all should know that by now, or remember it, hopefully. This system enables the shark to detect injured fish, which are easy prey. That's why whenever a shark's in the water, they tell you to stay calm and not to like thrash and jump around a bunch, because then you just look like easy prey. So next slide. We've got a fin spine, which is a protective spine located at the base of the first dorsal fin. Not all sharks have fin spines. Some fish have fin spines. And then that's just showing you a network of ampullae of Lorenzini and its whole little outline and everything. When you see it on a real shark, it just looks like blackheads. Then that shows you internal organs. Like I said, I really don't care about internal organs. We'll get to that when we do our shark dissection if you're in person. Shark PSA, we'll now go over the requirements of the project. No, we won't. This is the end of the lecture. You are done with me for today. Make sure to turn this into Google Classroom and have a great day.